December 8th, 2016, a date that should live in infamy. Intelligence officials prepare a briefing for the president. Russia didn't hack our election. No widespread cyber attacks occurred. The report was ready. Then it vanished, spiked, buried. Why? Because three men had other plans. Now, Tulsi Gabbard has the declassified documents that name names. Obama knew. Brennan orchestrated. Comey executed. Clapper covered. Years of investigations, impeachments, and media lies, all built on manufactured evidence. The coup attempt wasn't hidden in the shadows. It was directed from the Oval Office, Barack Obama's Oval Office. Anonymous leaks to the Washington Post, weaponized intelligence, a presidency under siege before it even began. The truth they buried is now finally surfacing, so keep watching. So the intelligence coup against Trump reveals why every American needs to prepare for government betrayal. When the highest offices weaponize power against citizens, traditional safeguards fail. That's why the Tuttle Twins magazine exists, teaching kids to recognize tyranny before it takes hold. Through engaging comics and activities, children learn about liberty, economics, and government, limited government. They understand why Obama's intel manipulation was possible and how to prevent future coups. Subscribe for just $56 a year. That's pennies at TuttleTwins.com/next. Give your children or your grandchildren, your nieces and nephews, the intellectual armor that they need to defend freedom. Because if kids cannot spot government lies, they will fall for them as adults. TuttleTwins.com/next, or hit that QR code on your screen. So this is the big news right now. A long time coming. Right, President Trump?
Hunter. Focus. I was the hunted, and now I'm the hunter. It's a big difference. Big difference. Focus.
Yeah.
I was the.
He is now the hunter. Kanekoa the Great, DNI Tulsi Gabbard calls for the prosecution of Barack Obama, James Comey, John Brennan, and James Clapper for fabricating intelligence behind the Russia collusion hoax. She just dropped a trove of documents and handed them over to the DOJ for criminal referral. Look at this. Their goal was to usurp President Trump and subvert the will of the American people. No matter how powerful, every person involved in this conspiracy must be investigated and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. The integrity of our democratic republic depends on it. We're turning over all documents to the DOJ criminal referral. New evidence of Obama administration conspiracy to subvert President Trump 2016 victory and presidency. On Friday, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard revealed overwhelming evidence that demonstrates how, after President Trump won the 2016 election against Hillary Clinton, President Obama and his national security cabal, cabinet members, Freudian slip, his national security cabinet members manufactured and politicized intelligence to lay the ground for what was essentially a years-long coup against President Trump. Tulsi Gabbard, baby, kicking some serious ass right now. We have this in black and white. Adam Schiff conspired with the CIA Director John Brennan to overthrow the United States government in 2016. And then, right out of a small room in Langley, covertly conspired with the CIA Director Mike Pompeo to overthrow a sitting president of the United States in 2017. Conspired with CIA Director Gina Haspel, the OCCRP, and USAID to topple the United States government in 2019 via impeachment hoax number 1. And it was CIA Director Gina Haspel who planted Eric Ciaramella. Remember, he was the whistleblower that you weren't allowed to say. President Trump's phone call with Zelensky occurred on July 2019. What kind of Obama holdover is this? Nearly 2.5 years into Trump's presidency. Let's take a listen to this clip from James O'Keefe.
The first of the intelligence community's surveillance targets appeared to be a former Defense Intelligence Agency, that's DIA head, and would-be Trump National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Another target was staffer George Papadopoulos. In 2018, HPSCI, the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, released a 243-page report clearing Trump of allegations that he and his team colluded with Russia to interfere with the 2016 election. However, sources close to the House Permanent Select Committee, led by Adam Schiff, covertly continued working out of a small room in Langley, and he had access to raw logs and communications from agencies like the CIA and the National Security Council. The first...
You have this on Substack that the USAID, the CIA...
Here's Jesse Waters on Fox talking with... is that Michael Schellenberger?
helped orchestrate Trump's impeachment?
Yeah, I mean, Jesse, it's a crazy story. I mean, you might forget that, the House of Representatives impeached President Trump in December of 2019. Many people may not remember that it was a CIA analyst who was left over from the Obama White House who wrote the memo that led to the impeachment. It was all based on hearsay. The person had not actually been in the room with Trump. Nonetheless, this memo that he wrote relied heavily on a report done by an organization funded by USAID. In fact, its initial founding funding, I mean, now it's tens of millions of dollars, had gone into this group called the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project, a name that's not very memorable, OCRP, but it was basically created as an extension of the State Department and then of USAID. And as you know, Jesse, this is very serious to be involved in an effort to do regime change at home, as we've been discovering as the files have come out with what Elon Musk has been doing. We know that USAID was really about regime change abroad. It was a kind of public-facing part, regime change operation like CIA, but not covert, more overt. Well, now you see a similar blowback, just like they did censorship abroad and brought censorship tools back. They were doing this sort of thing abroad, creating a predicate, essentially, for Trump's impeachment. So I think it's...
Yeah. Well, now the hunters become the hunted. Here we have this blockbuster scandal from documents released by Tulsi Gabbard today.
This release also breaking tonight, a potential blockbuster scandal from documents released by the director of National Intelligence today. Fox News Digital reporting the Obama administration allegedly manufactured and politicized intelligence to create the narrative that Russia was attempting to influence the 2016 presidential election. This reportedly happened despite intelligence stating otherwise. Chief Washington correspondent Mike Emanuel has some stunning details tonight, looking into it. This released today. Good evening, Mike.
Brett, good evening to you. DNI Tulsi Gabbard declassified documents today from before and after the 2016 election, promising to show the American people how intelligence was politicized and weaponized by some key figures in the Obama administration. She talks about it in an interview airing on Hannity this evening.
You have some of the most powerful people in our country directly leading at the helm, President Obama and his senior-most national security cabinet, essentially making a very intentional decision to create this manufactured, politicized piece of intelligence.
According to the documents, August 31st, 2016, a Homeland Security official tells then DNI James Clapper that there was, quote, no indication of a Russian threat to directly manipulate the actual vote count. On September 9th, 2016, officials argue the presidential daily brief should make clear that Russia, quote, probably is not trying to influence the election by using cyber means to target election infrastructure. Then after the election, the tone appears to change. On December 9th, 2016, the documents reveal the Obama White House held a National Security Council Principals Committee meeting on a sensitive topic. It included then DNI James Clapper, John Brennan, the CIA director, Susan Rice, who was National Security Advisor, Andrew McCabe from the FBI, and others. After that, an email came out to Intelligence Committee leaders from an aide to Clapper saying the intelligence community was prepared to produce an announcement per President Obama's request to pull together the information intelligence agencies had about the tools Moscow used and the actions it took to influence the 2016 election. By December 14th, there were leaks saying that intelligence community officials believe, quote, with a high level of confidence, that Russian President Vladimir Putin was personally involved in the U.S. election hack. Then, on January 6, 2017, 2 weeks before the first Trump inauguration, a new intelligence community assessment was released that, according to the Office of DNI, quote, directly contradicted the intelligence community assessments made throughout the previous 6 months. Former President Obama's office declined to comment. Brett?
Of course they did, because they're lawyering up. That's right. This is the scene right now at Barack Obama's house. Who's at the door? All right. This News Leaks says that Adam Schiff has hired an attorney after Tulsi Gabbard exposed the Russia hoax. Okay, this is the official tweet from Tulsi Gabbard, DNI Tulsi Gabbard, that we read just a moment ago. Laura Loomer says a lot of people owe President Trump an apology. Obama was, in fact, spying on Trump and weaponized the intel agencies against Trump. It was always true. The headline she shows here, Obama admin manufactured intelligence to create the 2016 Russian election interference narrative, documents show. Now, we always believed this to be true. We always knew it was manufactured, but now we actually have the paper trail that goes all the way back to Barack Obama. Orders given directly by Barack Obama, allegedly, to initiate this. After all the intelligence assessments that led up to that moment said there was no such thing as Russian interference, but they had to create the perception of such by manufacturing a narrative. Martyr Maid writes, Russiagate's the biggest political and media scandal in U.S. history on the level of Operation Clockwork Orange in the UK back in the day. Nothing short of a soft coup, and it would be dereliction of duty if the DOJ does not go ham on the people responsible. We got some of the documents that have been released. U.S. Director of National Intelligence Gabbard releases overwhelming evidence of an Obama-led conspiracy to orchestrate a coup against President Trump. Here's the official press release. I apologize for it being so small. I'll read it to you. You can see it now. I zoomed in. Director of National Intelligence, DNI Tulsi Gabbard, revealed overwhelming evidence that demonstrates how, after President Trump won the 2016 election against Hillary Clinton, Obama and his national security cabinet members manufactured intelligence to lay the groundwork for what was essentially a years-long coup against President Trump. We have more. Don't go anywhere. It gets better. Now, this was back on July 5th as it was developing. Sources tell me Obama's fingerprints are all over Brennan's post-2016 election intelligence community assessment Putin-Trump frame-up scandal, which leads directly back to the White House and Susan Rice, Lisa Monaco, Celeste Wallander. Biden also was in on the brief. So July 5th, the rumor mill started to come to a simmer, and now it is on full boil. DNI Gabbard says the deep state is fighting back. Here she is at turning point. The deep state is fighting back, but so is she. Listen.
We're here. The road ahead will not be easy. I can attest personally that in my work as Director of National Intelligence, the deep state is fighting us every step of the way. And it exists within every single federal agency. And so I feel the same frustration that I see many of you expressing on X or in different platforms about why aren't things going faster? Why aren't we getting results more quickly? I feel this frustration every single day. We are pushing hard. Know that they are pushing hard back. It's okay. We're not going anywhere. We're here to fight for you and to fight for the red, white, and blue that's behind you. We can't do this alone. It will take all of us who love our country and who deeply cherish our freedoms to stand united in this fight. It's going to come with hardship and sacrifice. As you know, it comes with name-calling and smears and lies and attacks. But here's the beautiful thing, is the harder they push back, the more smears and lies that are published in the Washington Post and the New York Times and the Atlantic and many others, the more we know that we are exactly on the target.
We are on target. Here's some more. After pushback from the FBI led by James Comey, the PBD was spiked based on new guidance. Barack Obama helped manufacture and politicize intelligence to create the Trump-Russia collusion hoax. Here is some more of the documents that have been released. Key intelligence manipulated and withheld from the American people by the IC, intelligence community. August 13, 2016, DHS official tells former DNI James Clapper that there was no indication of a Russian threat. September 2nd, 2016, FBI requests for the whistleblower's pre-election assessment on alleged Russian election activity in the upcoming pre-election ICA to be softened, given the FBI was uncomfortable, implying there was definitive information on Russia that Russia does intend to disrupt our election. September 12, 2016, the IC publishes intelligence community assessment on cyber threats to the election. Report finds foreign adversaries do not have and will probably not obtain the capabilities to successfully execute widespread undetected cyber attacks. There it is. There's the assessment right there, and some of it redacted. So, leading up to this, they had believed that there wasn't any possible threat from Russia. But they had to flip the narrative so that they could frame Trump. Check this out. Who's sitting behind Gowdy there? Oh, that's Kash Patel. Look who had a front row seat to John Brennan pushing the Trump-Russia hoax back in 2017. Yep, that's the very man Brennan is being criminally investigated by now. Kash Patel. Let's listen to this for a second.
Did evidence exist of collusion, coordination, conspiracy between the Trump campaign and Russian state actors at the time you learned of 2016 efforts?
I encountered and am aware of information and intelligence that revealed contacts and interactions between Russian officials and U.S. persons involved in the Trump campaign that I was concerned about because of known Russian efforts to suborn those individuals, and it raised questions in my mind, again, whether or not the Russians were able to gain the cooperation of those individuals. I don't know whether or not such collusion, that's your term, such collusion existed. I don't know. But I know that there was a sufficient basis of information and intelligence that required further investigation by the Bureau to determine whether or not U.S. persons were actively conspiring, colluding with Russian officials.
Did evidence...
Brennan looks so guilty. He looks like he's lying through his teeth, just the way he's speaking. It's not like some free flow of information, of consciousness coming from him as he's answering the question. Very measured. Way he's speaking in staccato. He's thinking it through the very words he's using. Lying right there. Tulsi Gabbard shredding the Russiagate myth. Declassified intel proves Obama knew it was baseless. We judge that foreign adversaries do not have and will probably not obtain the capabilities to successfully execute widespread and undetected cyber attacks on the election. I mean, she is releasing everything. All the memos. Previously declassified. Documents that Tulsi Gabbard declassified prove everything. Obama should be in prison. MAGA voice. Obama administration manufactured intelligence to create the Russia collusion hoax. I mean, everybody's on this. Charlie Kirk. Tulsi Gabbard just declassified documents show overwhelming evidence that then President Barack Obama personally requested and intentionally manufactured and politicized intelligence to create the narrative that Russia was attempting to influence. Chicago and Ray posting this of Jesse Waters. The CIA had a reminder on Trump, which has suddenly come up missing. People's lives were ruined because of this Russia collusion hoax. Obama's CIA illegally spied on Trump, which is treason. John Brennan must stand trial for his crimes. Did Brennan get a pardon from Joe Biden's auto pen?
In a top secret, former CIA director John Brennan identified 26 Trump associates to be targeted by the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance. And then those interactions were the targets and were targeted by the FBI as suspicious. And that's how the FBI launched the Russia collusion hoax. The details of this entire operation have been stored in a top secret binder in a secret room in Washington. Trump ordered the whole thing declassified, and now the rumor is that the binder might be missing. Joining me now, one of the reporters who broke the story, Michael Schellenberger. Michael, explain how this all started with the CIA picking these 26 Trump people.
Yeah, good to be with you, Jesse. Well, obviously, this is an extremely serious story and serious allegation by multiple credible sources that Public and Racket, that's Matt Taibbi's publication, have spoken to. These are people that are close to the House intelligence investigation of how the Russia collusion hoax began. The story, as you mentioned, was that, we were just informed by foreign intelligence about this. Our sources tell us a very different story, which is that this was initiated by the U.S. government. It came from within the U.S. government's intelligence community, including the CIA, that they asked the so-called Five Eyes nations intelligence agencies, that's the other English-speaking nations, including Britain and Australia, to spy on 26 Trump associates, or at least they had a list of the 26 associates that were identified. This is new information. Some people have theorized about this and speculated about it. We feel very confident that our sources were in a position to know and are very credible in this report. And it's obviously a very serious allegation because this is illegal spying and it's illegal election interference.
Okay, so you're reporting that the CIA got these allies to bump these 26 Trump associates, create interactions, and then call these interactions suspicious, and let the FBI know they were suspicious, and that starts the whole thing. What about this binder that encapsulates this whole thing, and no one knows where it is right now, or Trump has it? What's that?
Well, Jesse, we'll have a piece tomorrow that is specifically about the binder, but as a friend of the show and of yours on this, I'll say that there has been widespread speculation that this binder was the reason or a reason for the FBI raid of Mar-a-Lago, and we'll be discussing that tomorrow. But obviously, if this binder contains what we have been told that it contains, which may include raw intelligence, information showing that the U.S. government, the CIA and the intelligence community of the U.S. government, initiated the Russia collusion hoax, that it did not occur in the way that the official story, including the Durham investigation, had portrayed it, then that's extremely serious information. And it may be the FBI then went to go get it in order to continue the cover-up.
And now Tulsi Gabbard is releasing all the files. Here is more. Okay, this is the official thread that Tulsi Gabbard posted. Americans will finally learn the truth about how in 2016 intelligence was politicized and weaponized by the most powerful people in the Obama administration to lay the groundwork for what was essentially a years-long coup against President Donald Trump. The creation of the Russia hoax. So, real intel assessment, Russia and criminal actors did not impact the election results. Donald Trump wins. The POTUS briefing was pulled on December 8th. I see polls product that contradicts Russia hoax narrative. December 9th, secret Russia meeting with Obama. December 9th, Obama's order. The intelligence community begins outlining new assessment claim election was hacked. The deep state leaks. Obama officials use their media propaganda arm to spread the fake news. Washington Post, New York Times, NBC News. Fake weaponized assessment. Suppressed prior intelligence showing Russia hacked with intent and capability to hack the 2016 election, then becomes the Russia hoax. For months preceding the 2016 election, intelligence community shared a consensus view Russia lacked and capability to hack U.S. elections, but a week after President Trump's victory, defeating Hillary, everything changed. Intel community consensus. December 8th, IC officials prepared an assessment for President's daily briefing, finding Russia did not impact election results. Before it could reach the president, it was pulled based on new guidance. The key intelligence assessment was never published. The next day, top national security officials, including FBI Director James Comey, CIA Director John Brennan, DNI James Clapper, gathered the Obama White House to discuss Russia. Obama directed. I'm going to say it again. Obama directed the IC to create the new intelligence assessment that detailed Russian election meddling. Obama officials immediately leaned on their allies in the media to advance their falsehoods. Anonymous intelligence community sources leaked classified information to the Washington Post and others that Russia intervened to hack the election in Trump's favor. January 6, 2017, days before Trump took office, DNI Clapper unveiled the Obama-directed politicized assessment, a gross weaponization of intelligence that laid the groundwork for a year-long coup intended to subvert President Trump's entire presidency, the Steele dossier. These documents detail a treasonous conspiracy. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has used the word treason. What is the punishment for treason, I ask you? Drop it in the comments. What is it? A treasonous conspiracy by officials at the highest levels of the Obama White House to subvert the will of the American people and try to usurp the president from fulfilling his mandate. This betrayal, every American, the integrity of our democratic republic demands that every person involved be investigated, brought to justice to prevent this from ever happening again. I'm providing all documents to the Department of Justice to deliver the accountability that President Trump, his family, and the American people deserve. Clandestine says, hey, Grok, what's the punishment for treason? Well, under 18 USC 2381, treason, levying war against the U.S. or adhering to its enemies with aid and comfort is punishable by death or imprisonment of 5 years and a fine of at least $10,000 plus ineligibility for any U.S. office. Courts apply this narrowly to avoid political misuse. Levying war against the U.S. or adhering to its enemies with aid and comfort. So, giving aid and comfort, I don't think that is that part. I don't think that part applies, but levying war against the United States, could this be considered war? Maybe sedition is the better word. But we have Tulsi Gabbard dropping the T word. It's not going away. Let's see. Matt Gaetz enters the chat on his One America news program. You guys know how I feel about Matt. I love Matt. I know he does great work. I want to see him as special prosecutor kicking ass. But let's hear what he has to say. Let's give him a shot here on his new show. I honestly haven't really watched much of it. But Matt Gaetz exposing John Brennan, saying there is a clear case to prosecute him.
National investigators. There is a clear case to prosecute former Obama CIA director John Brennan, and I'm going to lay it out for you. Let's establish this first. Lying to Congress is a crime under 18 USC 1001, which makes it illegal to knowingly and willfully make any false, fictitious, or fraudulent statement or representation in any manner within the jurisdiction of the legislative branch. The lie must be material. It must be made knowingly and willfully. The law applies when testifying under oath or providing information to congressional investigators. Violations can result in fines and up to 5 years in prison. 5 years in prison for lying to Congress. And just in case you think these cases never get prosecuted, they do in very high-profile ways. General Michael Flynn, who we frequently had on this program, was prosecuted for this crime. Michael Cohen lied to Congress and spent time in prison for it. Roger Stone was prosecuted and on his way to prison in Jessup, Georgia, before President Trump relieved him of that sentence through a commutation. Martha Stewart was actually acquitted of insider trading, but convicted and jailed for violating this law regarding her false statements. So it does happen. So how strong the case against deep state tycoon John Brennan is. The year was 2023, and as a congressman on the Weaponization Subcommittee, I was taking a behind closed doors deposition of John Brennan. The topic was his leadership of a letter characterizing the Hunter Biden laptop story as Russian disinformation. By 2023, we all knew that Hunter's laptop was real. It wasn't Russian disinformation. It was left by Hunter at a computer repair shop. So at the time, we were investigating how a group of over 50 former intelligence officials were leveraging the imprimatur of their security clearances, their access to classified information, to lie to the American people about the Hunter laptop. I asked Brennan how he assessed, wrongly, that the laptop had all the earmarks of Russian disinformation. I asked him to list his bases for making this false claim. He made a huge mistake in the answer. He said, quote, "I tapped into my understanding and my knowledge in counterintelligence activities and influence operations and made a determination at the time when I was asked to sign the letter whether or not I would agree to sign it, which I did." Once this response was provided, all of Brennan's experience assessing the tradecraft of Russian intelligence was relevant and material to his testimony and the work of Congress. He opened the door. Well, what Russian intelligence operation do you think I wanted to discuss most? The Steele dossier, of course. The Steele dossier was assembled by a foreign spy and from subsources that were directly connected to Russian intelligence. The dossier was worked into the highest levels of the FBI through Bruce and Nellie Orr. James Comey and Rod Rosenstein even used the dossier to secretly and illegally spy on President Trump's campaign 3 times. The FBI at this time was all in on creating credibility around the false Russian intel-inspired dossier. They even leaked components of the false dossier to Michael Isikoff and then used those leaks before secret courts to justify their illegal surveillance. So I wanted to know about Brennan and the dossier. And he said,
Well, Matt Gaetz, you're doing a hell of a job over there. Love you. Keep up the good work. I'm going to repost this. You guys can go check out the full Matt Gaetz report. This is only the beginning of this bombshell. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So this is bigger than Watergate. Nixon's men broke into an office. Obama's men broke into our republic itself. They manufactured evidence, weaponized intelligence agencies, and attempted to overthrow a duly elected president. Brennan, Comey, Clapper, Obama, names should be etched into history as traitors who betrayed their oaths. The declassified documents prove what we have suspected all along. They knew Russia didn't hack the election. They buried that truth and leaked the lies to complicit media. Lives were destroyed. Millions wasted on Mueller's witch hunt. Years of division sowed by their deception. And Obama? He ordered it all. The same man who promised to be the most transparent administration in history orchestrated the biggest political fraud in American history. My question: should Brennan, Comey, Clapper, and Obama, should they face military tribunals for treason? Yes or no? Drop your comment below. Let's continue this conversation. And while you're there, hit the description and visit shop.network.com, where you can grab your American Badass gear from our shop and show where you stand. You can also help us expose President Otto Penn and support that new all-inclusive resort for illegals at Alligator Alcatraz.